Friends, Brian here for Yes You Can Play Guitar, and I'm going to do a reading your comments video for Nightwish, Planet Hell. Everyone showed up in droves to watch that video, and you know, it means a lot to me that you guys have watched, liked, some of you have subscribed. And you know, I never want to be one of those channels that's like, hey man, subscribe to the channel, but it does help a lot, folks, believe me. And also, I've had some new Patreons join my channel. So some of them Nightwish fans, I want to just give you guys a shout out again. So we've got Ryan DeOria, we've got Nelly Gibbet, we've got Giuseppe, and we have Salvador Saucedo. Awesome guys, very, very awesome to have you guys aboard. I really appreciate all the help and all the support. So let's go over to Planet Hell, and let's see what's going on with that. Tarkus, great track. Two of the versions we're checking out, the End of an Era version with Tarja, probably my favorite from that show, and the Deke Brand 22 version with Floor handling both Marco's and her own parts. Spoiler, she kills it. I'm not surprised. Floor's amazing. Thanks for the shout out, of course, Tarkus. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos, and it means a lot. Jerry Gamerdinger, okay, I remember the name Jerry. So Marco was doing summer shows with Tarja. That is amazing. If you guys noticed, I did a reaction video a few days ago to the first time Tarja and Marco got back together and performed on stage. The video wasn't the best quality, but it was still, you know, I like that. Okay, you know, okay, I made my joke about happy endings in the other video, but you know, there's a lot of bands, sometimes a lot of animosity, a lot of bands end, or band members leave, and there's a lot of, you know, but when people can just get past things and work them out and kind of, you know, I mentioned also in the previous video that I would like to call Rob Arnold from the band Chimera an acquaintance. We've talked many times. I've interviewed him for my channel, and I really like the band Chimera, but they ended, the original lineup kind of ended in maybe 2011 on not the best terms. But over the years, they were able to get past that and be friends again, and now they're doing these big reunion shows. I like stuff like that. You know, I know what it's like being in a band. When I was younger, I wasn't the best communicator. I was very intense. And once I started getting ticked off, it wasn't good. But things happen. But when people can say, hey, you know, like, you know, we had a friendship and we had a, you know, and people can get past that, I think it's awesome. So I love that whole Tarja and Marco thing. Floor said they limit the road trips to 5 weeks at a time now. When you do the greatest show on earth, okay, you'll see modern huge video displays they use now. If you guys ever check out Genesis When in Rome, the 2007 DVD, I have that. It was amazing watching that, to see that level of production, what they do. So yeah, I get into that a little bit more in Patreon, where I'm doing my Going to Nightwish School and reading the comments on Learn the Setlist in 48 Minutes. I'm talking about a lot of stuff, a lot of people that might not be musicians or worked in the industry might know about. So I go at length talking about stuff for every part that I do. So you're reading comments, will snag you subs. Okay, well, I joined and made you Patreon. I appreciate that, Jerry. Again, in a nutshell, I don't want to kind of keep saying things I've said a lot already, but you know, I am a YouTuber, but I love YouTube. Like instead of, you know, when we watch TV or even Netflix, we're forced to see what their production, what they do. But YouTube is kind of neat because it's that person's creativity. And I've had my favorite YouTube channels that I go to, and sometimes I'll comment or make funny comments to try and get the owner of the channel to respond or acknowledge my comment or acknowledge me. And some of the bigger channels, it doesn't happen. I think people tend to lose track of that. It is true, my channel is still small, but I get a large volume of comments. I did an experiment a week ago. I did a video about how many comments does a 20K channel get, and we set a timer, and I scrolled like for 5 minutes and didn't even come close to going through all the comments that I still have to address. So I try every day, but I really find this reading your comments, this format, it's really cool, man, because, you know, I think of the channels I like, it'd be cool to see those people acknowledge me and mention me, let alone talk about my comment. I don't know how big this channel is going to get, but if it keeps growing and it gets to a certain, like, I don't want to be one of those channels where you forget about everybody, you know? Seems a lot of channels do that. Anyway, enough of that and me being self-righteous. I have the clip where the band came back to Seattle 3 years later. Floor told the crowd she was about to break the first night. Good stuff. Get some headphones to really appreciate them. So one of the things, Jerry, when you are a reactor, okay, again, my channel isn't just reactions. but I'm most known for doing my reactions and my musical analysis. I think that's what people like on my channel. Surely not my sense of humor. But, you know, I've interviewed some big names in the music business. It's a little bit quiet right now in the interview thing happening, but they kind of come in bunches and they go. But, and I also do guitar lessons and guitar advice. I've got a guitar Patreon, and that's what I do. That's what my other job is. That's what I've done for 30 years. Play guitar, teach guitar, perform professionally. Although I haven't done that in a while. I've been retired from the stage for a while. Cornelius Antonius, such a cool song. Marco got disappointed in the whole music industry while he had lots of time to think during COVID-19. Also, he is a lot older than the rest, except for Troy. He has a family of 2 young boys he wanted to spend more time with. Being on the road is brutal, especially as you get older. Disappointed in the whole music industry. I still don't know a lot about that from Marco's perspective. It's something I want to delve into. You know, when I was watching on our Patreon, I'm watching this, learn the set list in 48 minutes. You see the level of the production that Nightwish has, their expenses. And I'm telling everyone, I'm like, man, like people don't, I'm sure Nightwish, they're making a good living, but this has to come out of their pockets. They're not probably as filthy rich as a lot of people might think, okay? But I'm sure they make a good living, but they have a lot of expenses. Thule, my man Thule, how's Thule doing? Planet Hell, also a very known Nightwish song. Awesome song, thanks for this. I still miss Marco and Nightwish, but I can completely understand the reasons why he had to leave. I'm so excited to see him and also Tarja live in a couple of months concert in Finland. This also is originally sung by Tarja, but Floor's voice fits it so well. You know, Tarja is very talented. You know, I want to kind of acknowledge all the singers in my time exploring Nightwish. Thinking about doing a Nightwish cover. The covers are a lot of work. I like to do them really cool, not just like sitting in front on my bed playing the song too. But if I was to do a cover, what song would you like to see me do? Thank you, Thule. Riens Dijkstra. I believe this is only a few days and the first concert after Floor had flown to replace Annette on 48 hours notice while learning the complete set list on the plane and in the bus. She sounds fabulous here. She sure does. Marco said that Floor was the first singer for which he did not have to hold back. Also, I mentioned that the first time I saw Floor, she has a striking physical presence too. But yeah, she's an amazing singer. Her voice is just wow. Thank you, Rience. Kim Fabricius de Tangnego. Great reaction from you. I think it's perfect that you had your personal experience in your reaction analysis. Thank you. Last summer in 2022, Nightwish had this song back on the set list, with Floor doing all the vocals and also as the only front person. Marco and her shared that part earlier. Okay. But Floor is amazing and one hell of a front lady. Dude, I totally agree. The newer versions of Planet Hell with Floor only on vocals is phenomenal. James Hetfield, no introduction needed, was on the side of the stage on Nightwish's Pink Pop show. Cool. To see and experience what the hell all the fuss about Nightwish and Floor were. He got so impressed that when Metallica had a cancellation from a warm-up band on the recent 2023 tour in Amsterdam, Metallica immediately called Floor to step in, which she did with her solo stuff. That's very cool. Props to James Hetfield. Jenny Havisto. At least when Nightwish is on stateside, they're having gathering usually. I don't know if they have that on finished concerts. At least if they're close to home, but they have 2 full buses worth of people working for them, and 2 trucks pulling gear and stage stuff. It's quite a carnival on the road, LOL. Johnny, that's very true. And on Patreon, on Learn the Setlist in 48 Hours, I'm doing it in sections. I go at great length. The last one, part 3, I really talk about their production, their expenses and everything. I'm sure Nightwish are making a decent living, but they're not as rich as you would think. Their expenses and overhead would be massive. It'd be eating up a lot of their money. And I don't even know what their contract and arrangement with the record label is. Mars' comments on a lot of the videos. I appreciate you, Mars. Thank you. Always positive with a nice thumbs up, horns up. Awesome. My good friend Megadog555 publicly subscribed to me. Publicly. My good friend from Rochester, New York. Nightwish High Hopes Live is for you. Absolutely. My friend, one day we shall go and check out the House of Guitars. Gabe is a Nightwish field commander. Yes. Gabe Bardak. Gabe, I appreciate his comments. He has a lot of good insights, and he's taken his time to write some lengthy posts and given me some direction on our Nightwish journey here. It's a little tricky. It's hard to keep it all chronological. I'm kind of a little bit all over the map. I want to give each singer their fair due on this. It might be awesome to interview each singer, too, at some point as well. Happy Memorial Day weekend, you too, to my good American friend. Oh, Van Gent. Yes, you can play guitar, but can you also sing songs like this? No, I can't. When I was a working grunt, playing in a three-piece band, I could sing, but it's barely passable. Guitar was my thing. I learned to sing more a little bit too late in life, but I also learned to sing more to help me make money on a regional level. That's a whole other story. Maybe on my Guitar Community Patreon, I'll talk more about that. Some of my Patreon reaction community videos, I get into some more personal stuff, but no, I not even close. Okay. Imagine you get a call during your sister's wedding asking you to come to the other side of the world and replace the previous Nightwish singer within 48 hours. You know nothing about their current repertoire and only have these 48 hours to memorize 14 of these songs, and then to have them sing live in front of a wildly enthusiastic audience as if you never had done anything else. I've done. Incredible. She made it. That's Floor Jansen. Floor Jansen's amazing. Oh, Van Gent, I have done some crazy stuff as what I call a clutch guitar player, where maybe popular bands in my region, their guitar player quit or they fired him. And I remember one time I had to learn 40 songs in a week. Not all the solos, but I had to learn some of them. I have had to do some crazy stuff, but not quite like that. Not with that much pressure. Jaska, you too, my good friend Jaska. Pretty neat rendition of this track. I totally agree. Peter Pritzel. Agree, the world has gone crazy. Nightwish has helped me stay relatively sane. Totally agree, Pete. At least here we can come to my channel, enjoy music. We can agree to disagree. Still be friends. Still be positive. My good friend Amy Goodson. Love Amy's posts. Nightwish take a 30-day nature retreat before they record a new record. Oh, that's interesting. Tuomas writes the songs. Usually did a demo with Marco, now probably with Troy. Then the band spends that time fleshing out the songs and rehearsing as a band. They play hard together. Then play hard together. That's what makes them so tight live, and they really enjoy each other, for sure. And when you see how tight they do play live, there's a lot of rehearsal time there. Yuka, now I know this Yuka is the drummer that she's talking about. See, I'm catching up, guys. I'm learning. Left the band in 2015 due to a severe medical condition that caused chronic insomnia. He remains the CEO of Nightwish Incorporated. Nightwish only announced they would not be touring on their next album. It's been rough for Floor this past year. Surviving breast cancer and becoming pregnant with her second child. Absolutely. That was so sad to hear about the cancer, but I'm glad that she's okay. She needs a break and for some family time for the rest of the band too. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Amy, as always. Andrell G. Linenbank. One reason Floor fits in so well with the bands seems to be that she is more a member of the band. Tarja and Annette were apparently more than the singers of the band, whereas Floor is just one of the guys playing one of the instruments. There's a contrast of what Tuomas wrote about Tarja in his infamous letter on how she skipped rehearsals and wanted to travel alone, and her other behavior that we associate with divas, which may or not be true, but it was felt by the band in this way. And on the other hand, Floor, who turns up for first rehearsals, even when she is not yet expected. She also seems to be fun to be around with, and someone who keeps the group together while touring. Cool. Diva behavior. You know, I know for me, working on a much smaller scale, I wouldn't care how someone traveled. I wouldn't really take it personally if they didn't want to. My thing is, do you keep band agreements, and do you come through when it's time to put in the work and perform live? That's, from my perspective, is what I would be looking at. But, you know, they're on a completely different level. You're in a bus with someone. I like my personal space. I live out in the boonies. I have a lot of personal space. Living on a bus with someone for months at a time could be very difficult, no matter how well you get along. Hellion, 999 off roof views, Premier vor 9 Stunden. Looks like we got another read the comments to come. You can skip this. Nah, Hellion, I like your posts. Love your posts. I appreciate you very much. Lindell G. Lindenbank. One reason Marco gave for leaving had nothing to do with the actual band. During COVID, he was still expected to do a lot of things that only profited the management. Ah! Now we're getting to the crux of that matter, my friends. Now we're getting to the crux. To the heart of, so to speak. Is that bright enough for you guys? Okay. That would bother me too. The disconnect between those who are in it only for the money, not the music, and don't put any effort in themselves except for being focused on making music for his own good, and the entertainment of the fans become too large. These things may also add to an existing depression. Okay, another great post by Andrell. I appreciate you taking the time to educate me on this. No one. Great version. Floor's first, but a decade later, she's on another level. Check out the version at the Hellfest 2022 live version. It's just Flora doing all the vocals, and she kills it. Absolutely, we will do that. My good buddy James Anderson. This is my favorite version of the song. Nightwish did 2 virtual concerts in 2021 over 2 nights in front of green screens. Okay, because of the pandemic. With overlay graphics, and this version gives you great graphics of the Planet Hell, as well as a better view of the band members while playing the song. The only drawback is this is after Marco left the band and Flora sang all the lyrics. Okay, cool, and you left a link. I appreciate that very much. James, we will definitely look at that. Coach Mike's Film Room, you may want to check out the same song from End of an Era with original singer Tarja Turunen. Okay, my good buddy Thorgrim, love your content format, my friend. Always adds value to hear from someone who understands the nuances and realities of being in a touring band. You seem to be a very good player. Well, that opinions vary, right? I assume that the luck and networking did not really happen for you to take your musical aspirations to the next level. Or was it more of a songwriting or vocal issue that did not draw the attention of the industry? When I was doing it in the 70s and 80s, it was basically a pay-to-play arrangement. It takes either well-placed or extensive socializing musically, a well-planned musical direction, a talented group of like-minded musicians, and lots of hard work to promote the band on your local scene to garner attention from the industry. You need to concentrate. Yeah, start small with the clubs. Okay. So, in a nutshell, this is stuff I probably get into a little more on my Patreon. I was a metal guy. I was a hard rock guy. I came up, like, I loved the thrash bands. I loved Metallica. I loved Testament. I loved Megadeth. Anything with really good lead guitar. You know, I like guitar virtuosos. I like progressive metal. But, you know, being in original metal bands, it was very tough, especially as I started getting on into my 20s, wanting to be a musician full-time. So usually what I would do is I would teach guitar full-time, and I would play in bands and gig. Metal bands are very tough. You know, it was a lot of money. So eventually, as I got older, I got into a relationship where I was supporting someone and their family. And, you know, again, trying to be nice with my words, but I had a lot of pressure on me to make money. And so I basically, I had to do work in a lot of cover bands, you know, traveling every weekend all over. And because you're guaranteed to make more money doing that. Original. Now, you know, times are different now. There's different ways to promote yourself without relying on a record company. There's a lot of things, you know, Thorgrim, that I could talk to you about. But in the end, hindsight is 2020. I would have done a lot of things differently if I could go back in time. But the good news is I am now here with you guys, and I'm at the happiest point in my life. My life is going very good. I'm very happy with everything in my life. And, you know, getting all the positive comments and support from everyone off of YouTube and Patreon really is just amazing. So what I try and do now, the whole goal of my channel was to help people getting into the music industry not make my mistakes. You know, giving a lot of tips on guitar, giving a lot of extra. For whatever reason, this channel gets more attention for the reactions, and that's fine. People like my perspective. But, you know, if you look at some of my other videos, non-reaction related, there's a lot of advice there. You know, I had a viewer message me last week saying, I'm really frustrated with my band. That's what's going on. I made a video about giving him some advice, and it sounds like he might have taken that advice, or he learned something from it. So there's a lot to my channel. It's not just reactions, but it's a big part of the channel for sure. But Thorgrim, thank you so much. I love your posts. Danette Crossley. Nightwish said they wouldn't tour for the next album. Not that they were going to quit touring. Might have something to do with Flora. Yeah, Flora had a lot going on. Marco had some mental health stuff going on. He had a new diagnosis of ADHD, so attention deficit. But also dealing with people running the concert, the money they had to pay. Yes. The music business with bands getting screwed over and artists getting screwed over by management, it's old news. Look into Black Sabbath in the 70s. Happens all the time. Elam O'Bjorlin. Marco was frontman rockstar 20 years before he joined Nightwish. Taro. I've heard of that band, Taro. He won the Masked Singer in Finland. He has many projects and albums over a span of almost 40 years. Marco actually took only took a little time off. He's busy with his guest performances and his own band, self-titled band, and is doing a project with his other band, Northern Kings. He says he likes the smaller venues and festivals with less traveling and touring. I get that, especially as you're getting older. Cornelius Antonius Tarot. Yay. I want to look into that band as well. I remember hearing the name. Timo Arula. So Timo has publicly subscribed to me. Thank you, Timo. Means a lot. Blast from the Past. Okay. First of all, Marco is one hell of a singer and totally living legend. He's an amazing musician, and he's a character upon himself. He looks like a character from Lord of the Rings. Second, after short notice from Nightwish, Floor's ability to adapt so quickly is astonishing. Flying Dutch Woman, yes. Now, this song is still on their set list, and Floor has taken over Marco's singing parts masterfully. This song gets me moving so fast. Love it, love it, love it. Awesome. Thank you, Timo. I appreciate it. Yeah, again, Johnny agrees with you. Yeah, awesome, guys. Thank you. My good friend, Gay McCullough. Gay was the first Nightwish fan to join my Patreon. So Gay will always stay in my mind and in my heart, and I really appreciate it. I admit I cheated a bit on this. This song is one that I was not very familiar with. I knew that Planet Hell had been done by all three singers, so I sought out versions featuring all three and gave them a listen. Since I didn't know which version you would be doing. Hell, I didn't even know what version I was doing. There are some interesting comparisons to be made that I won't get into. Marco knows why he left, which in my opinion is really the most important thing, and the fact that he's out touring again is very encouraging. I found your comments about how your goals change as you get older to be very relevant. It's true. It can happen in many professions, and I'm sure a lot of us have experienced a similar turning point. You know, Gay, I'll be completely honest with you guys. Where I'm at now musically, I like being where I am. I love my YouTube. I love my Patreon. I love giving guitar lessons. I used to do it in a big level. I used to have 80 to 100 students. I had my own music school and was gigging on top of that. I have a small amount of private students that I teach, and I love it. It's great. I enjoy it. But, you know, I like being home. I don't like being on the road and traveling and the stress of performing and stuff. Now, do I have a small little rock and roll fantasy left in my little brain here? Yes, I do. If one of my favorite bands, if I got known from YouTube somehow, probably not going to happen, but I'm just saying, if I had a chance to fill in for a gig or two for a really popular band that I like on guitar, I would, or even the chance to play a gig or maybe do an audition. I wouldn't want to be touring all the time and stuff, but that would be cool to fill in for a gig or two. That would be amazing. Straw Bell. Great comments, man. What you said about touring is interesting to dive in, yes. That you really need a personal, balanced private life next to your professional life. It can be very confrontational when later on, for lots of touring, you come to the conclusion that you don't have a private life, and of course, also how the music industry can have an impact on your personal life. It can be very nice to be in the spotlight, but you need a balanced mind. Live to keep yourself sane in this business. Absolutely. Great post, Straw Bell. Very great. Robert Sheeler, my good friend. NWA, Pennsylvania. Nightwish Army, Pennsylvania. What part of Pennsylvania again, Robert? I've been to Pennsylvania many times. There was a gym down in Reading, Pennsylvania that I have been to a few times. But I've been around Pennsylvania. Yeah, I like it there. I actually wanted to go to the place where they filmed the movie Signs, you know, with the corn crop circles. I actually wanted to go into that crop circle field, but anyway, it was a little bit out of my way when I was going there. Mac Zusi, Mac. Okay, so Mac, I really appreciate the post. And he goes into some detail about some things here. Talks about some people quitting and joining. And we talk about Flora here. She just turned 42 last year. She looks great. Youngest and so much at home with Nightwish. So I got to be kind of in the same... I'm going to be 50 in a couple of months. I got to be in the same age range as these folks, I guess. That's a great post, Mac. I really appreciate it. More information on the band. Excellent. Paul Riddle, Juka, the bass player, is 41. So he's the new bass player. So I'm still Marco in my brain here. So I haven't experienced Yuka, the new bass player, yet. And I know about Yuka, the drummer. The Exiles 100, you might find this interesting. I really like the guitar in this. It's something Marco Hyatola has done since leaving Nightwish. Okay, cool. Tarmo. Thierry Heart from Wikipedia. The song is well known amongst players of the fantasy multiplayer online role-playing game RuneScape. On June 6, 2006, a significant bug which allowed some players to attack others in areas that were meant to be safe zones was exploited in what became known as the Falador Massacre. Players were attacked and lost their valuable in-game items. The main record of the event was a player-made video which featured Planet Hell. Oh, okay. P.S. It's true, Marco is prone to depression, but he left the band because he got sick of the record label and live show organizers taking the lion's share of the revenue generated by Nightwish. You know a new thing I learned a few weeks ago? One of the ways that a lot of the bands, the mid-level bands, and even some of the big bands, they make a lot of their money is from merchandise. So they'll have a table set up. Usually they'll have some paid employees there taking care of the merchandise, the clothes, the shirts. A lot of venues take a percentage of that. I have a hard time wrapping my head around that. What do you guys think about that? You know, I don't know. There's something about that just seems wrong to me. Chris O. Now, Chris has publicly subscribed 2 weeks ago. Chris, thank you so much for this, subscribing. It means a lot. The song is from the 2004 Once album, The Last with Tarja. Whether you react or just watch on your own, check out the Live with Her from 2005 Helsinki show, End of an Era DVD. Always a Marco heavy song. They still play it with Floor singing solo. Still great but different. Yes, Marco is an awesome singer. Recommend their cover tribute of Pink Floyd's High Hopes from that 2005 show. Marco sings lead. That is on my list for sure, my friend. Frank Maris, love your channel. We'll have thousands of views before noontime. I'm in Pennsylvania. We're in the same time zone. Good reaction. Thank you so much, Frank. And you know, one of the things about, I know more so about Ohio or Pennsylvania, but one of the things about those states, I always think of Waffle House. when I'm going through those states, maybe it's more Ohio, I'm always seeing Waffle House signs. Man, who doesn't love a good pecan waffle? Thank you so much, Frank. Hema69, greetings from Finland. Suomi. Nightwish is great. Just try Winter Sun or Steve and Seagulls and other Finnish bands. Winter Sun is on the agenda, my friend. It is on the agenda because my friend Gay says so. Okay? Balti, just letting you know that Marco left the band and spent a couple of years away from the public. He was on tour in Finland this spring. He looked really happy and healthy. He did 20 years of world tours, sacrificed everything, and now he wants to perform. Yeah, that's totally understandable. That's hard. In 2019, Marco was involved in a Finnish documentary, and still looking back, it's quite easy to see that he was already thinking about quitting then. It was very clear from him that he was tired of how big the whole operation was. Yes. Friends, a lot of times with bands, we only see what we're meant to see. A lot goes on behind the scenes. You should look into some really good books from people that have played in big bands. You might be surprised with what you read. Okay? Okay. Jaska, you too. So Jaska, he's posted something here in Finnish. So let's just see what's going on. So what Jaska's saying here, he says, on top of that, it wasn't medicalization, wasn't right for the excessive misconcentration of her adulthood, the condition, which now seems to be under control and very much in balance. Okay, cool. Okay, so Valti and Jaski were having a conversation in Finnish. I don't want to pry. I don't want to look up what they're talking about. I'll keep that between the two of them because they're two good people, and I appreciate the support to my channel. We've got Daz Jackson, another public subscriber. 2 weeks ago, Nightwish is still performing this track, notwithstanding Marco no longer being present. There's good footage from Hellfest 2022 with Amazing Floor doing all the vocals. You can be assured, Daz, we will be checking that out. Nico D, it's amazing that Floor, who only showed up a few days before this show, can own a song. I agree. So that is it for comments on Nightwish Planet Hell. Guys, I really appreciate this, and I hope you guys know by me doing this, you see how much I appreciate you guys taking the time to post, to comment, to educate me. And to the people that take that extra step, join me on Patreon. For the people that are kind of like, oh, I don't know about Patreon, I'm leaving everything for the new Nightwish fans. There's a $1.50 category if they just want to kind of click and see what it's about for a while. That might change in time, but for now, to celebrate Nightwish and the Nightwish supporters, I'm doing that. And what do you think of that? My battery ran out on me. See the camera there? Look in the viewfinder, folks. Wave. So I was just saying that for now, for people who are like, oh, I'm not sure about Patreon, I'm already supporting. For the incoming Nightwish fans, I have the basic tier for $1.50. I'm just leaving that so that they have access to everything Nightwish on my Patreon for now. That might change. But for now, I appreciate the support when people make that extra step. It means a lot. So guys, again, thank you so much for reading your comments. You took the time out of your day to watch, subscribe, like, all that other good stuff. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Remember, practice hard, practice smart, no excuses. We'll see you soon.